Hi everyone, it's Heather, and I am going to read a book today called Gaston. And this is one of our book club books. So if you have the book, you should feel free to read along with me. And if you don't, you can just watch anyway. So, Gaston. I'm having an issue. Okay, here we go. Gaston. Mrs. Poodle admired her new puppies. Fifi, Foo-Foo, Ooh La La, and Gaston. Would you like to see them again? Fifi, Foo-Foo, Ooh La La, and Gaston. Perfectly precious, aren't they? Mrs. Poodle thought so too. The puppies grew as puppies do. They were no bigger than teacups. The fourth, however, continued to grow and grow until he was the size of a teapot. See, here are the three little ones, and then Gaston. Mrs. Poodle took pride in teaching her puppies how to be proper pooches. They were taught to sip, never slobber. Good. Well done. Very nice. Nice try. They were taught to yip, never yap. Yip, 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 yip. Ruff! Oh dear, poor Gaston. And they were taught to walk with grace, never race. Tip, toe, tippy toe. But then over here, whoa! The puppies were also taught how to look pretty in pink, nibble their kibble, and ride in style. Whatever the lesson, Gaston always worked the hardest, practiced the longest, and smiled the biggest. Look at that big smile. Mrs. Poodle was very pleased with all her puppies. Fifi, Foo-Foo, Ooh La La, and Gaston. Spring arrived, and the proud mother was eager to show off her darlings. She took them to the park for their very first stroll in public. There was so much to see. Daffodils, ducklings. Do you see any daffodils? Yeah, I see some, right? Here and here. What about ducklings? Do you see ducklings? Yeah, there's some ducklings up here following their mama or papa. And then what about some other dogs? Oh, look, there are some other dogs. Oh dear, who do we have here? Rocky, Ricky, Bruno, and Antoinette. Would you like to see them again? We've got Rocky, Ricky, Bruno, and Antoinette. This was more than a little awkward. The mothers sized up the pups. The pups sized up one another. It seems there's been a terrible mistake, Mrs. Bulldog said, breaking the silence. Oui, oui, Mrs. Poodle agreed sadly. Whatever shall we do? Mrs. Bulldog could not come up with an answer. I guess we'll let them decide, she replied at last. So you see this family, three of them look alike, but Gaston looks pretty different. And over here, three of them look alike, and Antoinette looks pretty different. But Antoinette looks a lot like Fifi, Foo-Foo, and Ooh La La. And Gaston looks more like Rocky, what were their names? Rocky, Ricky, and Bruno. So what do you think happened? Let's find out what they decide. Gaston and Antoinette were young, But even they could see that there had been a mix-up. The two puppies began to circle around and around the group. Gaston walked with grace. Antoinette raced. Gaston yipped. Antoinette yapped. And when they finally came to a stop, the puppies had traded places. So here's Gaston, and there's Antoinette. There. That looked right. It just didn't feel right. That evening, Antoinette tried to fit in with her new sisters, but she did not like anything precious or proper or pink. Phooey! On the other side of town, Gaston tried to fit in with his new brothers, but he did not like anything brutish or brawny or brown. Ick! Antoinette and Gaston weren't the only ones. Here's the Mrs. Poodle looking at the pictures. And then here's Mrs. Bulldog looking at her family picture. And they were also having a hard time adjusting. The next morning, Mrs. Poodle forgot all about being proper and raced back to the park. Mrs. Bulldog was already there, waiting with her burly brood. "It seems we've made a terrible mistake," she nearly shouted. "Oui, oui," Mrs. Poodle agreed happily. This time, Gaston and Antoinette wasted no time trading places. There. That looked right, and it felt right, too. From that day forward, the families met in the park every afternoon to play. Brocky, Ricky, Bruno, and Antoinette taught the poodle puppies a thing or two about being tough. Likewise, Fifi, Fufu, Oulala, and Gaston taught the bulldog puppies a thing or two about being tender. And many years later, when Gaston and Antoinette fell in love and had puppies of their own, they taught them to be whatever they wanted to be. You see, they're a nice mix of the two. This one has two different kinds of ears even. The end. That was a great book. Thanks so much for listening. All right, bye-bye.